Good afternoon, this is Clark Neighbors with BIS Commodities with the market wrap-up for the week ending January 26, 2018. Fairly interesting week, led by a weaker dollar, and I'll touch on that a little bit, and also new records on the stock market. But starting with some of the commodities for the week, corn's up 4 cents for the week, and so far for the month of January up around a nickel. Beans this week up 11 cents, and for the month of January they're up 24. Wheat's up 19 cents with a monthly increase of 15 cents, and cattle both for the week and for the month are up approximately $3. As mentioned earlier, the dollar issues this week. We continue to see pressure on the dollar over the last several months, actually dating back to last spring. This week's volatility in the dollar was led by some comments out of the administration, first stating a weaker dollar is good for trade, and then followed by how long-term the U.S. wants a stronger dollar. President Trump mentioned that, so that a lot of kind of give and take in the dollar this week, but longer term I think the dollar weakness is coming from a strong world economy, and the U.S. dollar is not the only place to invest, and we continue to see strong economic numbers worldwide, and specifically here in the U.S. also, with the stock market making record highs almost on a daily basis. I believe so far in 2018, and we're less than a month in, we're up 7% on the stock market, 26,000 and change. Keep in mind, a year ago at this time, the stock market took out 20,000. So we're up over 6,000 points in the last year, give or take, or roughly 30% or a little better. So interesting. Now, getting back to that weak dollar, the dollar is reaching lows, broke 90 points. Back to levels we haven't seen in like 3.5 years. So it's 3.5-year lows in the dollar, but yet we're seeing 3.5-year highs on the energy trade. Crude this week was up $2.50, looking to be attached to that cheaper dollar, and we're up $6 for the month. And keep in mind the dollar is roughly $22 above where it was over its lows last summer. And also, if you look at the commodity index, we're up about right now at highest levels in 2 years on the commodity index, which is a combination of basically all the commodities. So when you step back and look at that, yes, we have big fundamentals in the grains, but there is this supporting factor in the outside trade, namely by that firmer dollar. So I think that continues to keep, assuming the dollar stays low, that looks to continue to keep at least some sort of support under these markets. Fundamentals are still very negative. One of the most blatant things today is soybean exports came out this morning for sales numbers. Corn was good, beans were disappointing, and Randy Milstead, who's the lead grain analyst for R.J. O'Brien, made an interesting comment today that we would have to do the record, if we did the record weekly sales from this point forward till the end of August, we would still be at roughly 125 million bushels below where the USDA is projected. So to reach the USDA projection number, we need to be 27% above the record on a weekly basis. Now, why is this happening? A lot of it is due to the fact that the Brazilian crop last year being so big, there's a long tail, so to speak, on this crop from an export point of view. So that continues to take business away from the U.S. and continue to see strong business out of Brazil. And that's had some impact on basis. Exporter river basis levels have been disappointing so far in comparison to corn. Not that corn export numbers are solid, they're not, but versus expectations and what we normally see this time of year on bean basis is the Brazilian crop kind of winds down in their shipping pace. Normally by now we've seen some basis levels that are more impressive along the river and for the overseas market, and right now that lead market tends to be the processor market. So Commodity Traders report came out this afternoon. funds continue to be short roughly 220,000 contracts of corn, 81,000 contracts of beans, 145,000 contracts of wheat. That's the one thing the market's going to have in the back of their mind. Do we see some short covering in this market at some point? Cattle on feed report also out this afternoon. On feed was up 8%, placements up 1%, marketing's down 1%. So cash trade looks to be a little stronger here this afternoon. So the cattle market, hog market continue to be, as a general rule, pretty solid. Exports in that sector has been good. Obviously there's big animal numbers out there, but demand looks to be keeping pace with a lot of these markets. So going forward, key thing is to watch is the dollar index. As far as the grains are concerned on their own, there's not a lot of big changers in the market that can move the needle, so to speak, unless we see some late growing season issues in South America, which parts of Argentina are seeing some dryness, and that's worth keeping an eye on. But all in all, the crop down there looks pretty good. So if you have any questions on any of these markets, feel free to call us at BIS Commodities. Phone number is 800-373-2525 or biscommodities.com. We wish everyone a great weekend.